Welcome back, everybody, to Ein Sof Learning. This week's Torah portion is Haazinu. The word Haazinu literally means to give ear. It has the word ozen within it, which means ear. So to give your ear or to listen. The Torah reading of Haazinu consists of a 70-line song delivered by Moses on his last day in the physical world. He calls heaven and earth as witnesses, urging Israel to remember their history, how God found them in the desert, chose them, and gave them a bountiful land. The song warns of the dangers of prosperity and the consequences of forsaking God, leading to calamities. Yet, God will ultimately avenge his servants and reconcile his people. The Parsha ends with God instructing Moses to ascend Mount Nebo to see the promised land before his death. So that's what happens in this week's Parsha. And now, as always, let's read the first verse from the Parsha before we head over to the commentary by Rabbi Yaakov Abuchatzera. Listen, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. My lesson will drip like rain. My word will flow like dew, like storm winds on vegetation, and like raindrops on grass. So those are the verses that we're going to be dealing with in this week's Parsha. Let's head over to Pituchei Chotam, where Rabbi Abuchatzera is going to give us a deeper insight on this verse. אפשר לרמוז דבר משה רבנו עליו השלום לעורר את בני ישראל. It's possible to make a hint that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, is coming to wake up the children of Israel. להיות כל מעשיהם לשם שמיים. That all of their actions be for the sake of heaven. That's really what constitutes serving Hashem. Whenever it's for the sake of Shamayim. For the sake of the unification of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah, the heaven and the earth. That's what it really means to serve God. It's when you do whatever it is you do with the intention of unifying heaven and earth. That's what we call Leshem Shamayim, for the sake of heaven. Im yilmdu Torah tihye leshem shamayim. If they are learning Torah, then they should learn it leshem shamayim, for the sake of the unification of heaven and earth. Im tefillah tihye leshem shamayim bechavana karaui. And if they're praying, they should pray with the proper intentions, with the proper kavana. Leshem shamayim. Ki zehu ha'ikar, because this is the main thing. Torah and prayers constitutes a tremendous portion of our divine service. On one hand, a person should have a set time every single day to learn Torah. On top of that, to have scheduled prayers throughout the day. For the Jew, it's 3 scheduled prayers every single day, except for Shabbat, which is 4 times, and the holidays, which is 4 times. But on a regular weekday, morning, afternoon, and evening, there is a scheduled session for praying. And you want to pray with a minyan, which means with a group of at least 9 other Jewish males that are over the age of 13. If you have a total of 10 Jewish men above the age of 13 praying together in a unified whole, this is what we call a minyan. And that's sending the prayer to a higher degree in Shamayim. Even if you don't have the proper intentions, and even if you don't have the most righteous thoughts, because it's a war. The thoughts, the mind, is a war zone. So when you're praying, maybe a negative thought comes in, or maybe you forget to meditate on the meaning of the words, right? Not everybody has the proper kavanah. We should all be striving to have the proper kavanah, right? As it's saying here, Moses is coming to teach us that we should pray properly, with the proper kavanah. But still, sometimes we mess up. But if you're praying in a minyan, the Kabbalah explains that your prayer is going with the boat. Even if you don't have the most perfect intentions, and your mind might be wandering here and there, and maybe a negative thought comes in, or maybe you get distracted, or you become a robot for a moment. You forgot to actually concentrate on the meaning of the words, and you just use your lips, right? So even if that happens, God forbid, it shouldn't happen, but if it does, then you're still going with the boat. If you're praying in a group of 10 Jewish men, minimum. But if it's lower than 10, if it's 9 or whatever, less, you don't have the same force field, you don't have the same effect, and therefore you are praying alone and you're on your own. You have to have the proper kavanah there. It depends on your strength, the power of your prayer. You don't have that spiritual boost of the unity of the 10 people from the minyan. Okay? And this is the main aspect of our divine service. Zehu ha'ikar. Torah study, which again, you should have a set time every single day to learn Torah, and prayer. Right? L'shem shamayim bechavana karui. Should be with the proper intentions for the sake of heaven. And this is in order that hakol mekubal umrutze shamayma. In order that your prayers be accepted, and in order that your Torah study be favorable in the eyes of Hashem. That you would have the proper kavanah, which makes your prayer accepted and your Torah study favorable in the eyes of God. She'im tihyeh hatfilah ve'atorah b'kedusha v'tahora. If your Torah study and your prayers are done with holiness and purity, harei hakol yimtza patach patuach lemala. All of the chambers in the upper worlds open up to receive this influx of prayers or effort for studying the Torah. Ve'im hakol misfa v'lachutz, and if everything is just from the mouth and outside, meaning you don't have the proper kavanah, you're just using your lips to say the prayers, and you don't actually have the intentions. Bli kedusha v'tahora, meaning it's without holiness and without purity. Ein lahem makom b'ma lekanes. They don't have a place that they can enter. They haven't penetrated into the upper worlds to be able to make an impact on the side of holiness. So therefore their prayer doesn't really enter to the upper worlds. Rak hakol nidchei lachutz. Everything is rejected and it remains outside, meaning it's unable to ascend to the proper chamber in order to initiate the response, meaning the acceptance, because it didn't have the proper kavanah. Theoretically, if you had the proper kavanah, and you had the proper love of God, and the proper fear of God, then every request that you make should be accepted, like Moses. But, of course, it could be that Hashem has a greater picture, which he does have a greater picture, and therefore he's going to reject your prayer. Just like he did with Moshe Rabbeinu when he asked to enter the land of Israel 515 times, and God rejected him each time. But what did God say? God said, don't make even another prayer. If you make one more prayer, then I'm going to have to let you enter the land of Israel. Don't make another prayer. The answer is no. That's what he told Moses. So, Moses stopped praying. He realized, and that is the one prayer. Could be that there's others that I'm just thinking on the top of my head. That was the one prayer that Moses made that really wasn't accepted. But as we're going to learn right now, theoretically, if everything is in order, everything's in check, then Hashem does the will of the righteous. We say this every single day in Ashrei Yoshvei, meaning before Mincha and Shacharit, 2 times during Shacharit, we say that Hashem does the will of the righteous. Rak hakol nidchei lachutz. But if you don't have it, then it all gets rejected and it remains outside. V'zehu sheba Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom lomar leIsrael. And this is why Moses is coming to speak with the children of Israel. Hayitav beinechem shetihyu mitpalelim velo tekubal tefilatechem. Lachen hishtadlu sheta'asu ma'asim tovim b'kedusha v'tahora kedei shetekubal tefilatechem. In order for you to get your tefillas, your prayers accepted, you should exert yourself and perform good deeds with holiness and purity in order that your prayers be accepted. That's the message that Moses is coming to tell us in this verse that we just read. So now we're going to have to connect it to the verse. But first, Vehine sha'ar hashamayim hi shechinat uzeinu. What is the gate of heaven through which all the prayers ascend into the upper worlds to be accepted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Because it has to travel through the upper worlds in order to reach, so to speak, this is a metaphor. It's not, Hashem can hear your prayers even if it doesn't reach that spiritual dimension. Because Hashem is existence. Hashem is not confined to Shamayim. He is also aware of what's happening in the physical world. However, in order for the tefillah to get accepted, to have the power that he realizes that you have the desire, you have the vessel, you have the ratzon to reveal more of my light into this world. So the way that we indicate that you have that desire is by how high that prayer is able to penetrate into Shemaim. So there's a gate in the spiritual worlds that you have to be able to penetrate that gate in order for the prayer to get accepted. What's it called? It's called Shar HaShamayim, the gate of heaven. Hi Shechinat Uzeinu. This is the Shekhinah. The gate of heaven is the Shekhinah. That's the divine presence. The Shekhinah is Malchut of Atzilut, the 10th dimension in the world of emanation. The world of emanation, Atzilut, is the dimension of consciousness which is pure godliness, and it exists higher or beyond the creation, meaning it's a level of perception that transcends creation. And now we're talking about how to get your prayers accepted. The way to get it accepted is by penetrating into that world, into that plane of consciousness. You have to have that much koach, power, that your tefillah, your prayer, will penetrate to the highest of levels. It has to pass through and enter through the Shekhinah, which is the Malchut of the world of Atzilut. Umisham olah hatfila lemala. And from there, it ascends upward. Meaning that's the entrance. The gate to heaven is the Malchut of Atzilut. Vehine, Amru Rabotenu Zichronam Livracha, Shabbat Lamed Aleph Daf Aleph. Our rabbis have told us in the Gemara, the Misha Yesh Beyado Torah ve'ein bo yirat shamayim, a person who has Torah but they lack fear of heaven, domele Misha Masrulo hamaftechot hapinimim umaftechot hachitzonim lo masrulo, is like a person who has the keys to the inner chamber but he lacks the key to the outer chamber. The inner chamber corresponds to the world of Yetzirah, Olam Yetzirah, the world of formation, and the outer chamber refers to Olam Asiya, the world of action, which corresponds to the Nefesh. Remember, each of these Olamot are holy. They are holy. And the only way for you to penetrate into those worlds, Olam Asiya, Olam Yetzirah, Olam Briya, and Atzilut, is if you are able to overpower the klipot. If you don't have the power to subdue the influence of the impure forces, which is the strongest in this world, then unfortunately you cannot ascend to the world of Asiya. The only way to really penetrate into the world of Asiya and to rectify your share in the world of Asiya is through Yirat Shamayim, fear of heaven. Because there's so much klipot in the world of Asiya. Klipot are those forces of impurity which really try and prevent you from revealing the light. Klipot surround the light and they conceal the light, like a shell, like the peel of an orange. They hide the holiness, the fruit, within itself, and they cover it with their own peel or their own skin. And they trick you into thinking that what you're looking for is the skin. But really what you're looking for is the fruit. So they trick you. These are impure forces. These are spiritual entities that are out to get you. Quite literally, they're out to prevent you from reaching your spiritual heights. But it could also be what makes you grow, right? Because you have to grapple with it, fight with them, subdue them, and eventually you'll be able to penetrate into the world of Asiya. Because once you have the Yirat Shamayim, once you have proper fear of God, then you will be able to navigate your way and overpower that impurity. Of course, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. That means you have to master your mind. You have to master your mind. That's not easy to do at all. But again, a person who has Torah, which means he has the keys to the world of Yetzirah, but he lacks fear of heaven, which is the keys to the world of Asiya. This is a sticky situation. Because the only way to actually get to Yetzirah is from Asiya. And if you lack the keys to Asiya, but you have the keys to Yetzirah, well, guess what? You can't use those inner keys to penetrate into the inner chambers yet, to the world of Yetzirah, because you lack the foundation from which to ascend to Yetzirah, which is Asiya. You can't go from Olam Hazeh, this physical world, to Yetzirah. You have to pass through Olam Asiyah before you can get to Yetzirah. And similarly, with the world of Bria, if you want to go to the world of Bria, you need to be in the world of Yetzirah. And from there, you can go to the world of Bria. And if you want to go to Atzilut, similarly, you have to be standing in the world of Bria. And from there, you can go to Atzilut. You cannot jump worlds. Okay? So, he has Torah, he lacks fear of God. That means he has the keys to Yetzirah, but he lacks the keys to Asiyah. והנה, המפתחות החיצוניים היא שכינת עוזנו מלכות שמיים. The external keys, meaning the keys to the outer chamber, which we said is Asiyah, this is referring to the Shekhinah. Because Shekhinah, as we said, is Malchut of Atzilut. What's Malchut? Malchut corresponds to Asiyah. Like we said. Malchut Shemaim. This Malchut of Atzilut is also called the kingdom of heaven. Malchut Shemaim. Malchut literally means kingdom. It's the 10th dimension, the lowest dimension within any given world. This is for deeper study in Kabbalah. It might not make sense now. But, and if it doesn't make sense, then just ignore this part. I don't want to confuse you. So we said the outer keys is the Shekhinah, because it's Malchut of Shemaim, it's Malchut of Atzilut. But the inner keys, Hamaftechot HaPinimim, Hu Zeranpin, Hanikra Torah. The inner keys is Zeranpin. Zeranpin is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the husband of the Shekhinah. The letter Vav in the name of God. In fact, the letter Hey, the second letter Hey in the name of God, is the Shekhinah, while the letter Vav in the name of God is Zeranpin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Vav Hey are very important. These two work together in order to elevate Maim Nukvin, the signals of effort from the lower worlds to the upper worlds, to influence Abba and Ima, which is Chokhmah and Bina, the letter Yud and Hey in the name of God, to unite and produce Mochin, intellectual faculties, for Zeranpin and Nukva, which then gets given over to the Bnei Israel, to the children of Israel. For those of you who watched the previous video last week, you'll have learned that through us praying in this physical world, through the children of Israel exerting themselves and doing good deeds and following the Torah, they are elevating something called Maim Nukvin, feminine waters or female waters, which travels from below to above. This is a signal, a spiritual signal, which travels from the lower dimensions to the higher dimensions to signal to the upper dimensions that we have a vessel. We have the vessel to receive the blessings that you want to give. Because the one above always desires to give, the one below always desires to receive, but it should be transformed into a desire to receive for the sake of sharing, which is the whole concept of the Maim Nukvin. That's why we're sending up, that's called sharing. We're sending up a signal through the exertion of our self in this physical world to serve God. That's called giving back to the Creator. That's called serving God. That's how we give to God. How do we give to God? Is by serving Him in this physical world. Because serving Him down here increases the joy of the upper worlds, as we've explained. In fact, what happens is you're causing a unification between Abba and Ima, Chokhmah and Bina, meaning to unite and produce blessings, fulfillment, right? Spiritual abundance for the lower worlds. You're stimulating, in a way, the upper dimensions to generate more energy for the lower dimensions. How? By serving Hashem and having the influence that you are causing in this physical world rise up and make impacts in the upper worlds, which triggers the release of male waters, which flow from above to below. So now it's getting interesting. Umi sheyesh beyado Torah ve'ein bo yirah, a person who has Torah in their life, but they lack fear, ein lo be'eza makom liknas v'nisha'ar b'chutz. He has nowhere to enter, no place that he can enter above those prayers, and they remain outside. V'zehu Haazinu hashamayim ve'adabera. And now let's go back to the verse from the Torah to put this all together. Listen, O heavens, and I will speak. Who's the heavens? The Hebrew for heavens is shamayim. Shamayim corresponds to Zer Anpin. So when it says, listen, O heavens, and I will speak, that's a call for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zer Anpin of Atzilut, to listen to my prayers. We're requesting for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is Shamayim, which is heaven, right, to listen, to give ear. Haazinu literally means to give his ear to us making our prayers, because I will speak. Adabera. Interesting, the word adabera, which is in this, the third word of the Parsha, it's similar to that magic spell which we hear in the movies. Abra kedabra. Why? Abra is Aramaic for I will create. Or Hebrew. I'm not sure if it's Aramaic or Hebrew. But Abra means abera. I will create. Future tense, I will create. Kadabera means as I will speak. Comes from the word dibur. Adaber. I will speak. So, abra kadabera, in that sequence, literally means, in Hebrew, I will create as I speak. Meaning, I will use my speech in order to create something. Adabra kadabra. I will create as I speak. It's a Hebrew spell, actually. Just to give you an interesting. And by the way, the word alakazam, I don't want to sound crazy, but the word alakazam also is the name of Elohim, but with a Zayin in the middle. The letter Zayin corresponds to Oz, power. You get Elokazim, which is alakazam, the same exact pronunciation. So I don't know if that one's actually a Hebrew spell, but I noticed that on my own, that's the name of Elohim, with a Zayin in the middle, which is very interesting. In any case, let's get back to the Parsha. So when it says, listen, O heavens, and I will speak, that's referring to Zer Anpin, which is Torah. We said already Zer Anpin corresponds to Torah, or corresponds to Yetzirah. Yetzirah is the inner dimension. That's the keys for the inner dimensions. You need the Torah for that. V'hachika amar Haazinu hashamayim, and that's why it says, listen, O heavens. Dehainu hichanu chal lomar lahashamayim haazine v'yashmiu tefilati. We're asking the heavens to accept our prayers, to hear our prayers. Heicha de techila hikdamti v'shama haaretz. But first, the land, the haaretz, needs to hear. Shehi malchut shamayim, which is the kingdom of heaven. So that's why the next part of this verse says, and let the earth, haaretz, which is malchut of shamayim, hear the words of my mouth. Let the kingdom of heaven hear the words of my mouth. So first, in order for the prayer to ascend to Zer Anpin, it needs to pass through malchut. So the maftechot hachitzonim, the external keys, meaning the keys to the outer chamber, asiyah, which we said is yirat shamayim, fear of heaven, is necessary in order for you to be able to raise your prayer to Zer Anpin, that it gets accepted. Imrei fi. And that's why it says, let the earth hear the words of my mouth. Zehu ikar mafteach hayira. This is the essence of the key of fear. Fear of heaven, that's corresponding to Asiyah, Malchut of Shamayim. Uva Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom lomar leIsrael deu ur'u. And now, that's why Moses is saying this. Moses is coming to the children of Israel and he's saying that you should listen and you shall know and you shall see, really. Mimenu tilmdu, and you shall learn from me. V'chen ta'asu, and so shall you do. Sha'arei atem ro'im be'einechem ma'asim bechol yom she'ani keven bait lefanav yitbarach. That behold, you are all witnessing with your own eyes the actions that I am doing every single day, like a son in the house of his father. Ukesha'ani tzarich leshum davar, and whenever I need something, ein li shum akava. There's no hindrance. There's nothing blocking my prayer. That's what Moses is telling the children of Israel. For you to know. You see, on a regular basis, every time I'm talking to Hashem, there's nothing that blocks my prayers. Rak kesha'ani kore miyad hu oneh oti. Whenever I make a prayer, he immediately responds, umedaber imi, and he speaks with me, kasher yedaber ish el re'ehu. Just like a man speaks to his friend. Ve'ikar kol ze mishum maftechot hayirah biyadi. And all of this is because the external keys are in my hands, which is yirah, the fear of Shamayim, as we've already said multiple times. Im ken gam atem chizku ve'imtzu. If so, you guys can also attain this. Just be strong and courageous. Le'yirah ula'ahava et Hashem. To love and fear God. Or here, he actually said to fear first and then to love. Why? Because if you don't have fear, you can't have love. To whatever degree you fear God is the only extent to which you're able to have love of God. You can't have more love than you have fear. You have to build the love from the fear. Et Hashem. And that's directed towards Hashem. Ve'al yadei zeh yihyeh oneh etchem bechol et. And if you do this, He will answer you every time. Sheharei ikar hatfilah ve'hatorah hem hamafchetot shebahem poteach ha'adam hasha'arim ha'elyonim. That the main aspect of the prayer and the Torah that we're all engaging in this dimension, in this world, are the keys. That with these keys, you're able to open the gates of Shamayim. When you have the proper fear of God and the proper intentions during the prayers, right, with holiness and with purity, and you're learning Torah with those same intentions, if you do this all properly, then you're actually able to penetrate into the upper gates of heaven. Al yadei tefila veTorah oseh adam zivugim veyichudim lamala. Like we said, through tefillah and Torah, you're able to make unifications and coupling above. Zivug. Zivug means when two things unite to become one. You're causing energies in the upper dimensions to unite. Batchila ma'ale ma'im nukvin. Through first raising up ma'im nukvin, like we said. You got to elevate the ma'im nukvin, the feminine waters, from below to above, which is the prayer, which is the Torah study, which is the ma'asim tovim. Every time you're doing that, you're raising ma'im nukvin. Achar kach morid ma'im duchrin. And afterwards, male waters descend from above. Ukeshe morid ha'ma'im duchrin. And when the male waters descend, moridam mimakor ha'elyon me'olam le'olam ad sof ha'olamot. This abundance, this male waters is coming from the highest of the dimensions, the highest worlds. And it trickles down from world to world ad shemagia hashefa gam le'olam ze hagashmi, until it eventually reaches the physical world. They call ze al yadei kedusha v'tahura, and this is all through holiness and purity. Ve'yira ve'ahava karaui, and this is all through fear and through love properly. Yachol lifaol peulot. By this you're able to make effects in the upper worlds. Be'olamot elyonim ulhitbarech hakol al yado, and everybody gets blessed through your hands. Aval im hu pagum male mumin. However, if it's defected, meaning if you don't have the proper intentions, if for whatever reason the prayer is not coming from the bottom of your heart, harei hu dachzu me'ikaro, is disqualified from the outset. This is very, very difficult to hear. If it's not coming with the proper intentions, it's not coming with the proper motivation, then unfortunately that prayer is disqualified from the very outset. The prayer gets disqualified right from the beginning because it was damaged, and Hashem does not accept damaged offerings. It's a verse from the Torah, actually. You're not allowed to bring an offering, a korban, if it's defected. In the same sense, spiritually, it doesn't get accepted if it's not with the proper intentions and with the proper kavana, ahava, yira, kedusha, tahora, all these things. Utfilato v'torato to'eva. Again, very, very hard to hear this, but a person who makes such a prayer without the proper intentions is that prayer is an abomination. Not the person, but the prayer itself is seen as an abomination. Uvadad yeshev. And that prayer is isolated, and it shall dwell alone. Just like a person, when they become impure, they used to be isolated from the camp of holiness, the camp of the children of Israel. Michutz lemachane, outside the camp, moshavo. That's where it's supposed to be. That's the dwelling place of the impure, outside the camp. So what's the source for that idea? Vayikra Yud Gimel Mem Vav, the book of Vayikra, chapter 13, verse number 46 says, Tamahu badad yashav michutz lemachaneh moshavo. He shall dwell isolated. And so this is regarding a person who is impure because he's attached to the Sitra Achra. He's connecting to the other side. For that reason, he is kicked out, spiritually and physically, from the camp. So the same thing happens with our prayers. If the prayer that we make is not with the proper intention, it's disqualified from entering into the upper worlds, and it remains below. It's like a balloon that's unable to go up. Something's blocking it. When you make a prayer, it rises up, almost like a balloon, letting go of a balloon. But there's a ceiling. If there's a ceiling, then the balloon congregates at the top, but it's unable to enter into the upper worlds because there's a ceiling, there's a barrier there. That's the barrier which separates the physical world from the spiritual worlds. For your prayer to penetrate the spiritual world, it has to have the power to penetrate this barrier. What's the barrier? As we said, it's the Shekhinah. It's really the entrance. But it doesn't open unless you have the proper yirah, fear of God. And then it opens up for the prayer to get accepted. But if not, then it remains outside. Velo dayo she'eino mitaken. And it's not just that he doesn't cause tikkun, rectification. Ela adraba mekalkel. But on the other hand, he's actually causing more corruption in the world by making that prayer. That's why it's not, it's very difficult to hear this, by the way, what we just said right now. Because many times we make prayers that aren't with the right intentions. So now I'm going to be anxious, I'm going to be nervous, I'm going to have anxiety. Am I having the right intentions? Is my prayer for nothing? Is my prayer for something? So don't let that seep into your mind. Instead, be strong, be courageous, increase in kavanah, meditate stronger, have more desire. Express the desire. Don't just do lip service. The kavanah has to be from the heart. Even though we have a certain prayers that we have to recite, but it should be just guiding your heart, not replacing your heart. The words are not here to replace the sacrifices that we used to give. No, it's the heart that you put into those words. That's the sacrifice. You're sacrificing yourself. Before, we used to have prayer services instituted 3 times a day. We used to give offerings, sacrifices, literal, physical sacrifices. And today, because we don't have the temple, we're praying instead. The praying replaces the sacrifices. So what exactly are we sacrificing? And the answer is you're sacrificing your animal soul, your nefesh bahamit. Because every time you increase in kavanah and ahava and yira and kedusha and taura, while you're in the tefillah, in the prayer service, you are infusing those words, those prayers, those requests, those verses of praise with your own kavanah. You are infusing, you're bringing those letters, those words to life by infusing them with your intentions. Deu sha'ani mechamat hayira ve'ahava sheyesh be'adi b'shlemut. And because Moses had perfect fear of God and perfect love of God, all of his prayers were accepted. Every time he would pray, it would get answered immediately. And furthermore, kesha ani lomed Torah, ani mashpia bekol haolamot. And when Moses learns Torah, he brings blessings to all the worlds, all the olamot, the entire cosmos, because he has the yira and ahava. V'chen nami kesha ani mitpalel bekol haolamot ani mashpia. And so too, when I pray, I bring blessings to the entire cosmos. So whenever you have your relationship with Hashem sorted out properly, the proper love, proper fear, yichud, bitachon, temimut, emet, shaflut, when you have the 7 lower sfirot properly situated, which is the emotive attributes, your character traits, that it's coming from the bottom of your heart, then your prayers will get accepted and they will be heard immediately. So now we understand the deeper meaning of this first verse from the Parsha according to this Kabbalistic interpretation. And if we want to know more details about Malchut and Zeir Anpin and these spiritual structures, because it sounds so deep and so technical and so conceptual, it sounds beyond, quite frankly, even for me who has been learning this and trying to understand these concepts for years. But it's not enough. It's not enough to just try. You have to have the teacher. You have to have the desire. You have to have the proper books. You have to have the proper direction. There's a lot of things that have to be in the right place. But the main thing out of all of this is the ratzon, the will. You have to have the willpower to keep going forward despite all setbacks. So I give everybody a blessing that they should be strong and courageous and keep moving forward despite all hindrances. And don't doubt the power of your prayer. Don't doubt the power of your Torah. Only increase. Only improve in your relationship with Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, our prayers will be answered and will bring Mashiach in a merciful manner. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everybody, thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't be afraid to share this video with your loved ones, as we know that we are trying to reach as many souls as we possibly can with the wisdom of the Torah, specifically its inner dimensions called Kabbalah, which is the mystical secrets that are contained within God's holy Torah. And I invite you to join me on this effort to spreading this wisdom to the four corners of the world so we can prepare for what we've all been waiting for, the final redemption, where Israel will be redeemed along with the righteous Gentiles.